What's up, guys? This is another MMA review of Just the MMA, and today we're going to be talking about Robbie Lawler versus Johnny Hendricks. Now, with this fight, when I first saw it, I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, I haven't seen Robbie. The only thing I really saw of Robbie Lawler at the time was Robbie Lawler versus Nick Diaz. Like that was pretty much the only fight I really knew of Lawler. I knew he had a lot of explosiveness, but I didn't really think he was a very smart fighter, and I didn't really think he had much of a gas tank because usually he'd take people out in the first round. So I didn't think it was going to be that big a deal. But of course, after watching him fight Josh Koscheck, and he fought somebody else from like Strikeforce, knocked him out with like a head kick. And once I saw that, I was like, wow, this guy is legit. You know, he's very scary in the 170 pounders. And then I saw the fight. That was probably one of the best fights I've ever seen. But there are some holes in Robbie Lawler's game that I've seen since he fought his last fight. I forgot the guy's name. I think Brown. Yeah, Brown. I forgot. But in that fight, like the first two rounds, and I also liked how Robbie Lawler was able to recover so well. I mean, that shows that he's a smart fighter. If you get rocked really bad and you're able to recover, that is like the number one thing to being a smart fighter. And he was able to do that. So that's very key to be able to recover, because a lot of guys can't do it. A lot of guys just get rocked and then they just get pounded out. And he was able to recover against Brown, a guy who the minute he rocks you, he finishes everybody. So that was extremely impressive. Another thing too is he was able to. Brown's a very good striker. He's a very high volume guy, and Robbie Lawler was able to stop that. Of course, when Robbie Lawler fights Hendrick, so it's gonna be different because both guys are the same style. They're both guys who have good cardio, and they're both guys who can take each other out. So you don't have to worry about high volume or anything like that. But in this fight, I thought in the first fight, I thought that Johnny Hendricks did win. He just barely edged him out. But I think though in the rematch, and then here's another thing: when he fought Brown, I didn't like that he didn't throw that many leg kicks. He could have thrown way more. That would have been safe, because everyone's so worried about his power and his boxing that they're not worried about his kicks. Plus, even if he was afraid of getting countered, there's a lot of safe kicks he can throw. You can throw a lot of inside leg kicks, roundhouses to the legs, or even the shin kicks, which not a lot of people utilize. The only person I've seen utilize it really is John Jones, and I think a few other fighters I can't really name. But there's a lot of safe attacks he could do. Like in the third round against Brown, he was like, if he did lose that round, it was only because he didn't throw that many strikes. I don't know what that was about. Sometimes he would just do this too much. Like the whole round, he didn't throw that many strikes, and he would just kind of let Brown hit him, which I didn't understand. And then towards the end, then he landed some bombs. But he needs to add just a little bit more high volume to his strikes, and if he can add kicks, because he has very good kicks. They're not crappy kicks like Gustafsson, I would say. They're legit kicks that are very good, like maybe on like Rockhold level, kind of. Except for Rockhold, so he can. He's a world-class kickboxer, so he knows how to. You can kind of twist the kick and stuff. But getting back on topic, if you were to throw more kicks, of course, you don't want to throw it to the body, because Hendricks is a wrestler. He'll grab that and take you down. So he can use it to the legs and then the head, which is the safest things. But I think he should utilize it just a little bit. Just every now and then. Everyone get your boxing going, and then out of nowhere throw like a feint and then a kick. Because then that's, you got to set your kicks up with punches. And in his case, since he's a boxer and that's what he's good at, or not, he's not necessarily a boxer, but every time he goes in there, he uses mainly hands. That would definitely work. Now, just so you guys know, I'm rooting for Robbie Lawler, so that's why I tend to be focusing on him a little bit more, which I do in all videos. I tend to focus on the person that I want to win. But to get to the champ, or supposed champ, since, well, you know what, I think he did beat GSP, but I mean, when I rewatched it, it was a lot closer. But getting back to Johnny Hendricks, I mean, he knows everybody's afraid of his wrestling. He knows that. So that's why he's able to throw these and he knows everyone's afraid of his power. So he'll throw these gigantic power hooks. Then he'll feint like he's going to shoot in, and then guys, they're scared, right? So they go to, bend down a little bit, and then he'll come up with another combination, which I haven't really seen anyone do. Like, he knows what he's good at, and he knows that you know what he's good at. So he's able to use that against you. Like he's able to use your own preparation against you, which is very interesting because I've never really seen anyone do that. A lot of people just kind of they get good at something and then they just keep utilizing that to the point where like it's like it doesn't matter if you prepare for me. I'm still gonna do what I want to do and I'm still gonna beat you. Like that's what most people do. But he's able to use your own preparation against you. Like he's gonna train for what you're going to train against him, which is very interesting because you don't see a lot of guys, at least you don't see a lot of guys do that in the octagon. Maybe they actually do, but they're not able to utilize it. But Hendricks needs to pretty much needs to do what he did in the first fight. I mean, of course, don't get rocked. I mean, the first fight he got rocked like twice. He was up against the fence at the end of the fight. Um, he doesn't want that to happen, of course. But he just needs to do what he did in the first fight. He needs to, use his boxing and then turn that into takedowns. He needs to use his boxing and and maybe he can add in some kicks because we're not expecting that. We're expecting to see power hooks and him shooting in. We're not. No one's gonna expect him to throw any, crazy kicks. So he can throw all the kicks he wants. When you're a good wrestler and everyone's scared of that, you can throw all the kicks in the world. No one's gonna try and take you down because they know that even if they do try to take you down, they're going to use up a lot of energy and they're probably not going to take you down because wrestlers are good at defending, takedowns. So yeah, John Hendricks can throw all the kicks he wants. Doesn't really matter. But he pretty much just needs to use his boxing. He could feint to wrestle, come back up. So he just needs to use boxing to set up his takedowns. And then if he can, just dirty box Robbie Lawler out. But who do I think will win? It's a tough one because the last fight was very close. But I think if Robbie Lawler is able to add in some more kicks, if he's able to watch the tape and actually learn what he did wrong, because a lot of people, I'm sure they watch the tape, I'm sure they come up with a game plan, but they don't actually come up with a plan. Um, or maybe they do have a game plan, but they're not able to actually do anything different. Like most guys, they go in there and then they end up just fighting the same way they did last time. So if he's able to go in there and add in some more kicks, like pretty much just add a little bit higher volume. I'm not saying go in there with a crazy amount of Nick Diaz, like that's not his style. He needs to load up those punches, but he needs to just strike more. Like there are some times where he just stands there and he doesn't really do all that much. Like he'll just kind of stand here and not do that much, like he did in that third round. He needs to just attack more. Not doesn't have to be high volume. Attack more and then use more leg kicks. And I think that's it. If you were to throw more leg kicks to the leg head and attack more, I think he'd win. I mean, it comes down to just that. And so I think Robbie Law is going to win because he showed that he's able to change from like his younger self, like how he was back then, and he's a completely different fighter now. He's a smart fighter. He's shown that because he's able to recover and he's knocking people out with leg kicks we never saw before. He used to just brawl, so he can change. He's already done it. So I think he's gonna come up with a new game plan, and I think he's gonna come in there and beat Johnny Hendricks this time because Johnny Hendricks got pushed to the very edge. The GSP fight for him it just seemed easy. He was just walking through punches. He was just doing whatever he wanted to do. But in the Robbie Law fight, he got rocked twice. He was up against the fence, and no matter what anybody says, that gets to you. Like if you have a sparring partner that you train with and you know they're gonna push you, you always have that little bit of fear in here. Which, I mean, at the end of the day, when you get into a fight, you want to be as calm and as possible because then you think clear. So if you have any kind of doubt or any of that stuff, that really doesn't really help out. So I think Robbie Lawler is going to take it, and that is my review on Robbie Lawler versus Johnny Hendricks, and I think Robbie Lawler is going to win. So see you guys.